Welcome back, everyone, to the Systems Thinker Show. This is Season 6, Episode 48, and I have to kick things off with a huge thank you. We have listeners in over 42 countries now, and that's just, well, it's incredible. You are the reason we're here. Now, speaking of you, I have a quick favor. Our stats show that less than 25% of you who tune in are actually subscribed. So, if you're getting value from these sessions, could you do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe or follow button? It really helps us with the streaming algorithms, lets them know we're putting out best-in-class cultural insights, and helps more people find the show. And hey, if you're feeling generous, share this with 10 friends or colleagues. Also, just a reminder, this show is a perfect companion to our business playbooks, Shift Happens, and the newly released Culture by Design, Power by Discipline, Volume 1. You can grab them at online bookstores all over the world. All right, let's jump in. So today we're diving into a really fascinating idea from Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. But we're not going to look at Law 41 as some cynical tactic for grabbing power. No, we're going to reframe it. We're going to treat it as a critical, strategic warning. A warning about the hidden dangers that come with a larger-than-life predecessor, and, more importantly, how to build something that can actually outlast any single person. Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll define what the Legends trap even is. Then, we'll talk about forging a new path. After that, we'll look at why this is a universal principle, not a one-off idea. And finally, we'll land on the big takeaway, how the system becomes the true successor. Okay, let's start with the trap itself. This is the core problem, and you'd be surprised how many organizations walk right into it without even seeing it coming. Let's make this real. Picture this, a 70-year-old manufacturing company. For decades, it was run by its founder, a charismatic, brilliant, heroic CEO who made every big call. But now, he's gone. And what's left behind? Total stagnation. You've got middle managers who are literally frozen, just waiting for someone to give them an order. You've got operators on the shop floor who are afraid to try anything new because they're haunted by how he always did it. The entire culture, the entire company is anchored to a ghost. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's the question that really exposes the fatal flaw of any culture that's built around one person. What happens when the hero inevitably walks out the door? All too often, the whole thing just grins to a halt, collapsing into paralysis. So, if that's the trap, how do you get out of it? Let's get into our second section, because this is all about how a new leader can forge a totally new path. And it all starts with a deliberate shift, away from personal influence and toward system infrastructure. You know, what's so powerful here is the massive philosophical change this represents. The old way, it was all about influence. Authority came from one person's personality. The company's continuity was fragile. I mean, it could literally retire or quit. And its ability to scale was severely limited. The new model, the infrastructure-led approach, flips all of that. Authority gets baked into the process. Continuity becomes durable, something that lasts. And scalability, it becomes incredibly high because the system can grow way beyond any one individual. So what did this actually look like on the ground at our case study company? Well, this shows the change perfectly. In the old state, every important decision was CEO-centric. In the new state, they used tiered meetings, pushing decisions down to the right level. Metrics went from something the boss just reviewed to something the teams actively owned. And those chaotic, informal escalations, they were replaced with a standardized, predictable process. You see what's happening? Power was being embedded deep into the system. And the results? This is where it gets really interesting. They were still chasing the same goals, quality and speed, but how they got there changed completely. Before, quality depended on some expert hero swooping in to save the day. Now, it's driven by standard work that everyone understands and follows. Speed used to be the result of chaotic firefighting. Now, it's achieved through disciplined flow. It wasn't about working harder. It was about having a smarter system for working together. And let's talk hard data. The numbers don't lie. Within just 18 months of putting these new systems in place, safety incidents dropped by 20%. Think about that. That's a direct result of moving from a culture of personality to a culture of process. And it didn't stop there. Schedule adherence, their ability to actually deliver when they said they would, shot up by 15%. That's the sign of a reliable, predictable operation, which is almost impossible when everything relies on one person's heroics. But maybe the most important change was the cultural one. Voluntary turnover, it dropped. Why? Because people finally felt empowered. Psychological safety went up. They weren't being measured against the ghost of the old boss anymore. They were valued for their own contributions to the system. Their talent was finally being unlocked, not suppressed. So it's a great story about one company, right? But here's the crucial point. This is not a one-off. Let's move to our third section. and talk about why this is a universal principle that really does apply everywhere. And if you need proof, just look at this. Study after study shows that a staggering 65%, almost 2/3, of operational transformations fail because of a dependency on a single leader. They fail because the change was tied to a person, not embedded in the process. This proves the legends trap is one of the single biggest risks to any kind of meaningful change. And this risk, it's everywhere. We're talking manufacturing floors, global supply chains, hospitals, scientific research labs, you name it. Our schools, our government agencies, even professional services firms. Any organization, and I mean any, that relies on a hero instead of a robust system is just setting itself up to fail. And look, we're not just making this up. This idea lines up perfectly with what the world's leading experts on change management have been saying for years. Whether it's Petersenge talking about learning systems, John Cotter talking about anchoring vision in the culture, or Leonard Johnson's work on management operating systems, the core message is exactly the same. Build a system that can outlast any single individual. Which brings us to our final, and honestly our most powerful section, the big idea. The system is the successor. This is about building a legacy that truly, genuinely lasts. What we're really aiming for here is something called institutional power. So what is that? It's when an organization's effectiveness is woven into the fabric of its processes, its structure, its culture, not just tied to the charisma or talent of one person. This is what creates real resilience. This is what ensures the mission continues long after any one leader has moved on. If you take only one thing away from our time together today, let it be this. Cultures that are anchored to legends, they stagnate. They become museums to a past they can't escape. But cultures that are anchored to systems, they adapt. They learn, they evolve, and they thrive, especially when things get tough. So I'll leave you with a question to really think about. Right now, is your team's success built on a person, or is it built on a process? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know about your future. Thanks so much for joining me. If you want more information or resources on how to build these kinds of powerful systems in your own organization, please reach out to us through our website at www.karasinnovations.com. While you're there, you can check out our other podcast, The Continuous Improvement Lab, and we have a ton of content on our YouTube channel, Karas Innovations Group. Finally, a huge thank you to our executive producer and founder, Leonard Johnson. We'll see you all next time.